Our cabin in the woods is coming together so well. This morning, before all of the hard work of the build though, I'm appreciating this special spot tucked away in the rainforest. Between the ferns and palms and big hoop pines is the lake, whose water cradles our tired bodies. The reflections glisten each morning, enticing me for a swim before I get to work. A morning swim always lets me start the day full of energy. The bees wake up earlier than I do, and they buzz busily pollinating the water lilies. We learned to swim in this lake, and since then, these waters have been the softest place to just come and play. To float, pick water lilies, watch bees, and just relax in the gentle waters. As kids, we would spend most days here, building tree houses or rope swings or flying foxes across the water. This childhood adventure was so full, and in my adult life, I'm trying to get back to that freedom. I'm trying to learn again the importance of aimless wonder and play, to learn the importance of floating in the water with no purpose or intention. Growing up here in the rainforest, we were taught so much by nature's ways. The reflections still teach me new lessons each day. The way that they swirl and move to no pattern, a mess of colour together. This teaches me that beauty is found in the chaos. I've learnt this again and again as I work on restoring our cabin. Each notch fits together wonky. The beams that were felled from trees in the forest are not straight and uniform, they're the opposite. They curve with character and grace. And in my own building, as I learn this new skill from scratch, it is far from perfect, but in my messy additions, I'm writing new stories into this special spot. The first job is to find a window, but before that I need to let the ducks out of their night pen. Up in the shed's loft are 2 windows. They are gorgeous and the perfect style, but they're pretty old, missing some glass, and they have an old layer of paint on them. But they are the most perfect measurements and will look so cute in that spot, so I've got a lot of fixing up to do.
So these windows are the perfect size and everything about them is perfect, except that they have old paint on it and the old paint could be lead paint, so I'm going to sand it off, but first I have to be very careful and get myself covered up. And I don't really have any of the special PPE gear, so instead I'm just going to cover myself with clothing and then just wash it all afterwards. This is an outfit, honestly. I think it's cute.
When I started to learn to build, I didn't know how dangerous everything could be. It feels like there's a hidden threat in every job, but getting these windows back to the beautiful condition is inspiring me.
The next step is getting the glass out and then putting the glass back in because it's not solid in there, so it needs to be redone.
As you can probably tell, these windows have been stored for a long time and are probably something that my parents collected from the side of the road or a friend years and years ago. And now they're finally getting the dust wiped off and they'll have the most perfect spot.
So there's one piece of glass that's missing. It must have broken along the way somewhere. But there's this, which is really similar size. It's actually the same height. It's just a different width. It must be for a similar window. So I'm going to try to cut it to the right size. So as you know, Mum is the queen of cutting glass and she's not here to help me today, so I'm going to have to do it myself. So I'm going to do a few practices first because it's quite an art and I'm scared. It's really hard. I did that too early. Look at that!
Now I'm ready for the real thing. Glass is actually neither a solid or a liquid. It's in a state in between, considered an amorphous solid. If you score a little line where you want it to break, the glass becomes stressed and it's encouraged to break in that spot. Although, interestingly, if you score a line, it would eventually repair itself. Like if you ran your hand through water, the surface would be filled again and become still. Similarly, glass very slowly fills itself in and repairs. Mum is a lead lighter, so she's always telling me all these fun facts, and it seems like glasswork is the coolest combination of art and science. A few years ago, I started growing flowers just for the fun. Mum and Julia laughed at me with my very impractical garden. I could be growing eggplants and capsicums and tomatoes, but instead I filled it with bright blooms that serve me no purpose but the joy of colour. That's the thing though, I think we need to make more time in our lives for things that don't have purpose. To invite wonder into our lives. And in growing this garden full of flowers, they have actually found a great purpose. They attract pollinators that in turn pollinate everything in the garden. The butterflies and bees flock to my flowers and they make me feel so proud of my silly patch of flowers. They make me see purpose in everything. I love to come here and just watch the butterflies fly around me and see how they interact in the web of nature. They fly from zinnia to passion fruit flower, their wings fluttering with grace. Their beauty brings me so much inspiration to get into the garden and start weeding.
I think it might be the most magical feeling in the world to have all these butterflies just flying around you in this patch of flowers that you grew from seed and they're just feasting on. I don't know, I don't think I've ever experienced any joy like that before.
I also love growing flowers because they make the most beautiful, thoughtful gifts to friends. Giving someone a big bunch of flowers that you grew from seed to sprout to stem feels extraordinary.
So I've decided that I'm going to live in this treehouse for the time that I'm doing up this little cabin because it means that I'll actually stay focused on the project and, you know, living simply, living in a little treehouse with just enough room for a mattress in there is the perfect thing to just get me to work every day.
This treehouse was also built by our dad, and I think it's the perfect reminder of childlike wisdom and being guided by it. He created this treehouse just for fun, felling trees in the forest and milling them to create this storybook house in the trees. He always knew how to prioritize these simple, joyful, and creative things, and you can see it in the way that he built. The carved doorways, the windows built from sticks, the transformable shelter windows that are built from recycled tin. This whole place is so full of stories, and it inspires me to keep building and telling my own stories. The frogs are quietening down at this time of year, but in the middle of summer, their calls are so loud and they fill the nights. The fireflies wake in spring, and they love this spot in the valley, so as you camp, tiny lights wander past, flashing and glowing through the forest. There are mushrooms that mysteriously glow in the dark, and sometimes the forest is full of them. This place is a magical fairyland, and the memories of my childhood here are like something out of a storybook. But they shouldn't stop now that I'm an adult. I should still play and wander and follow fireflies and search for mushrooms. This restoration project is the perfect way to celebrate my inner child and just play and create.
I think waking up here has to be one of the most beautiful experiences in the world. It's so amazing to look out to the water and you can see kingfishers just swooping for some fish, and the first light starts to just sparkle on the water. And then in the night you can hear owls and frogs, and a few storms pass through, so there was some rain in the night, which makes it extra cozy. While I wake up, come on a little tour of the treehouse with me. It's so cute in here. So you have the front veranda, which you can see the forest from, and it's so beautiful. And then inside, now Dad made this door from cutting this with a chainsaw, so it's so cute, and sometimes it needs a bit of a push. But inside, ta-da! And you've got this special spot which is just big enough for a double bed.
The next job is puttying. The glass requires a flat bed of putty to sit in, and then some nails so that it doesn't fall out, and then a carefully perfected front of putty. It is hard work, but I've become pretty good at it after restoring so many vintage windows, and I actually find the job really satisfying. The texture of putty is gooey and soft, and if you angle your wrist perfectly with a putty knife, you can create the corner in one movement.
So I think my next step is to get these windows really just ready to hang. So that means cleaning up the little bits of putty that I left in the wrong spot. And it also means sanding it back a bit, because I've decided that I don't want to paint them because this place is so beautiful. So I want to keep that. And I think I'll just sand them back and then oil them really well so they can withstand the weather. But the problem is it's raining so much at the moment that I can't oil them because it's just too humid. So I think I'll just sand them back for now and even hang them, and then hopefully in the next week it'll dry out a bit and then I can oil them then.
These windows went from looking like trash, honestly, to the most beautiful antique windows. A little work can go so far.
Stop it. You're not allowed to eat this tree.
Meanwhile, when I'm distracted with work, Magnolia has been eating lemons off the tree, so Mum is tying it up so she can't reach it. It's been raining so much, so when we get a sunny period and the soil dries out a little bit, I've been trying to plant in the garden. I love this time of year for planting. There's still so much growth, but soon it will slow down a bit, and then in September we'll get the fast spring growth again. This is the best time to plant spring flowering things, and I love to plant with Clover by my side. He doesn't understand why he isn't allowed to sit on the new seedlings though, so he follows me around the whole garden, confused. Clover is a protected dog, so his job is to look after the animals. Part of this means that we can't take him off the ridge of the farm, because the further he explores, the more responsibility he feels he has, and he might think his boundaries have expanded. He loves his simple life on the ridge though. He loves the purpose of looking after the animals, and he loves waking up early and watching the sunrise. Every morning I find him watching over the view. This special dog has such an eye for beauty.
Hi! So I picked up these doors yesterday, and guess how much they were? It's a trick question, they were free, so how could I not? I don't have a use for them yet that's decided, but they're gonna be gorgeous somewhere, and I have so many projects in my head that I'm excited about, so I will make use of them. But first I have to just fix them up a little bit. I'm just gonna put some sugar soap on there for the mold, because there is a little bit of mold. I think they've been stored outside for a while. There's also a lot of wood rot, and there's also some glass that's fallen out. But I know how to putty windows, and the wood rot, maybe I could just cut the bottoms off or something. They were free, so how could I not?
I remind myself that these bargains may seem useless now, but so did the windows until I fixed them.
I think it's just so funny that I'm so following my dad's footsteps. I'm collecting old junk that's going to be stored in the shed for years, but honestly, I found a use for his windows that he stored in the shed for years, so probably someone one day will find a use for my doors that I'm going to store in the shed for years. It's a cycle. It's beautiful.
A big thank you to our patrons for your support on our journey of learning and caring.